Good morning, everyone. Today, I want us to talk about women, and specifically the Kenyan women, and how we can increase the political participation of women, especially when it comes to 2022 elections. How can we ensure that more women secure seats in the coming elections? And vis-a-vis in overall, how can we be able to support women generally in the political sphere? Now, if you are watching this video for the first time, I will request that you subscribe. Kindly subscribe, and you can also share this video if you so that it can reach more women and more people, especially in the broader society. Uh, Allow me to look at our constitutional development. In 2010, Kenya passed a new constitution, and all of us can be aware about the struggle, the protracted struggle that we had for the constitutional amendment in the country. And basically, the struggle was supposed to create more space and more rights for the citizens to be able to participate in the political agenda and also other spheres of national interest. So in 2010 August, Kenya was able to get our current constitution, which is a major milestone. This is actually perceived by many as a remarkably progressive and people-centered set of laws. The new constitution has actually rejuvenated a more clear framework for people's participation. It has created a lot of hope for life for young people, for women, and generally the Kenyan society, because it gives a lot of progressive avenues for good governance, for better livelihood, and also it gives citizens to feel a sense of being Kenyan and feel some sense of ownership of our country. So the constitution locates people, the people of Kenya as the core and the center of governance. Article 1 of our constitution actually vests all sovereign power in the people of Kenya. And that power, we can be able to feel it at both national and the county level, even in terms of be able to define our governance structure. So it does provides a direct popular participation, unlike in the past. In the past governance, where participation was mostly through the democratically elected representatives, the politicians were directly involved in actually deciding what is best for our country. So the people's sovereignty as a core foundation from which the power to govern emanates from, and that's a very key, a very powerful instrument. However, we will both agree that despite the constitution being entrenched with provisions ensuring a Bill of Rights, gender balance, and avenues of public participation, communities, especially those living maybe in rural setup or low income levels, still lack that sufficient information, still lack that sufficient ability, and that sufficient voice about the constitutional provisions on how they can effectively participate in the governance, both from the national and even at the lower level, and that's the county level. And women in particular have been affected by this in terms of achieving active participation and access to leadership opportunities. Therefore, we must now start developing this continuous engagement in being able to influence this space, and women need actually to be take a lead role in this initiative. As you've been watching some of the political development of late, you realize that more rallies are actually thrown by women and young people. And what the politicians will be saying is that the next dispensation or the next governance will be for the lowest level women. So then my question would be, at what level are they participating? Are they going to participate post the elections? Are they going to fill that position in the transitional process as we head to the new the next election, that is 2022 election? So women participation need to be clearly defined at this early stage. This is the time for them to be able to negotiate their relevance and their visibility in their shaping the political direction in the coming phase of our election. So for us to be able to effectively engage and increase the women participation levels in the current process, the question there we need to pose to the political parties, that what opportunities are they giving to the women? Have they been able to identify the potential women candidates who will be able to carry their agenda to the electorate? And even women need to start positioning themselves in the political parties. And I like what the discourse that is happening in Mount Kenya currently, where they have consolidated all their effort and gave one strong woman, that is Martha Karua, to be able to carry their agenda into the negotiation table with other political players. That is very progressive. That is more strengthening and affirms the position of the women voters in the next discussion. So we need to be able to increase the public demand for women party candidates, and the women need to actually build. I would say they need to build alliances with men. They need to start building alliances with male political players. You know why I'm saying that? Because in terms of dominance, you'll realize that most of these political parties are men dominated. It's only few parties that have the women at the mantle, at the leadership mantle, and such parties are accountable. We know we can point out the visibility of people like Charity Gilu, Martha Karua, who are actually strong party leaders. So when they build these alliances, then men are able to come out and be able to support the gender equality measure. Remember, we have had a lot of challenges in actually enacting the 2/3 gender law, and this is one of the failures of I would say the failures of the of our parliamentarians, because these were transitional clauses that were protected in the constitution, but they still were able to actually ignore the relevance of such a law in empowering our women politically. So it is now our discussion that me and you, we need to push it to the other level. Now that the space is now open, when the political space is now open, everybody is campaigning up and down. Our women now need to position themselves at the point of influence to the women voters, because when you look at the global population currently, women are about 3.9 billion in terms of the population index globally. So that means when we come to the local level, we can say that the ratio is very close. Men to female ratio isn't that far. So it means they also carry a very good big quota when it comes to the election process. So with that quota, then they need to be able to fill that gap. They need to create that influence. They need to give that reason why they need to be elected, because the best way for women to actually guarantee their position and their firm role in the public governance is when they are actually elected through the popular process. I know currently we have the reserved position, the 47 representatives from all the 47 constituencies who are women, because those are the reserved position. And then we also had around 12 nominated women from the political parties. And that is not enough, because the two-third gender rules mean that we shall never have like more than one gender dominating the House of Representatives. Where there is no clear legislation as it is currently, it simply means then that women need to actually fight for the same spaces with the men counterpart. And this is practical. It has happened in other countries. And we can borrow and live from such base practices. Good countries like Rwanda across the board has almost 61% women representation. That is both in the lower or the single house of representative. We have across the globe maybe Cuba, 53 at about 53%, and then Bolivia stands again at around 53%, and the United Arab Emirates at about 50%. So you realize that this is something that is achievable when the society understands the role of the woman in elective politics, and even in terms of good leadership that is always offered by women. So with that gender ratio, then we can also be able to have the same ratio in representation. I don't know why that has never been possible in Kenya or other parts of Africa. But we can also be able to appreciate in terms of history. Like the first woman to have been democratically elected prime minister was that of I think it's Sri Lanka. That is in 1960. There's the lady called Siri Mavo. I was reading part of their history, and I realized that this lady was able to lead a party to victory in 1960 general election. So so it simply means that the women have been able to fight for this space from with a very good historical background like that one, and it can also be possible. And we also know even India was able to elect Pratibha Patel in 1934. Pratibha Patel in 1934, and that was, I think, was the 12th president of India. This is a lady. This is a lady to having held this position as the first Indian female president. So it's a possible initiative, so that the current discussion that we need to be seeing, we need to be getting from the women caucuses in the is the nature of negotiation that they're doing with the political class, especially the male-dominated political processes. So that when we're talking about the presidency, is there a woman who is going to give a stab to the presidency? And who is going to be the running mate? Is this girl going to be made? Because when we're doing we're talking about the gender balance, then we must be able to also demand for that position even at that national level, so that if the leading political bigwigs like former Prime Minister like Odinga or William Ruto or Musalia Mudavadi, or Kalonzo Musyoka, or Moses Wetangula, then the women in their caucus need to start demanding that the running mate now needs to be a lady. And we need to get the voices of strong politicians like Martha Karua and Charity Ngilu demanding for such positions. Yeah, so that because it's not charity, but by being given such positions, it should never be seen as like a favor. It's not a favor because women actually form a big voting bloc in this country. So when they use that quota in their negotiation, then that is their right, and those are some of the progressive processes or scenarios that we had envisioned by the new constitution, so that people participate in negotiating for what is actually right for them, and women must negotiate for what is right for their population, so that when we go to the rallies, we go into rallies to pick which team is actually giving such good progressive policies, so that women do not just clap for politicians. Women are not just called to say aye, my mama aye. That aye should be saying, my mama, we are in, we are part of it, we are the game changer. I don't know whether we are agreeing with that, because that will actually be a strong foundation when we talk about the women empowerment and moving forward as a society. That is the kind of scenario we want to see next year, and I know most of us would also want to see such like thing. It's only that we might have been late in trying to mobilize women around that agenda, but it's never too late. Politically, everything can change in a moment. In politics, nothing happened by coincidence, and things can even change, and the national agenda can always be changed. So the question is, who is going to change the national agenda to focus on the women, to focus on the strategic position of women in the political negotiation table, so that we are not being promised that everybody is just giving us a policy that we shall give more women maybe funds for business, we shall give more nomination slots for women, we shall give more cabinet positions for women. But how about the current process where they need to go for the elective positions? Are we going to be given that political space that women will get room to participate? So an opportunity has presented itself. Women don't shy off. Give the male counterparts run for their money. Vis-a-vis, negotiate for post-election. What is your position even after election? I just have said, I will be very happy if we see a woman running mate for any of these political bigwigs, so that we change the gender narrative from us talking about regional representation to a national agenda of women inclusion. If that can happen at that higher level, then I have a sure bet that we shall have a more increased women dominance in our political space. I think this has given us some insight. If you have any question, if you have more content, more areas you want us to talk on, you can give me comments. We go to the comment section, and please don't forget to subscribe. Kindly subscribe so that when I come back, I'll be able to give more